Here we go. Welcome to Central Georgia Focus. I'm your host, Raymond Tubb, and with a new year, lawmakers are heading back to the Gold Dome to set new laws and revisit some old items as well. As they head back to Atlanta, we want to preview some of the legislation that's expected to come before lawmakers and what's important to Central Georgia. Our guests today represent both the Senate and the House. We are joined by Senator John F. Kennedy of District 81. Now that covers parts of Bibb County along with Monroe, Crawford, Peach, and Upson counties, as well as State House Representative Patti Marie Stinson of District 150, which covers Taylor, Macon, Dooley, and parts of Sumter and Peach County. So you've got a little overlap with Peach County there.
Yes.
And well, again, with Senator Kennedy, talk a little bit about your role in the Senate and what you do there.
Raymond, thank you for having us, giving us a chance to talk to folks. So, as you mentioned, I have the 18th District in the Senate, and I also have the privilege of serving as the President Pro Tem of the Senate. That means temporary president. Our Senate body is overseen, if you will, and chaired by the Lieutenant Governor. When the Lieutenant Governor is not present, then I preside over the Senate body. That's hence the name. But also administratively, everything on the Senate side of the Capitol sort of comes under the President Pro Tem's office, and also puts me on some really good committees so that folks here in Middle Georgia hopefully are well represented, and gives us a seat at the table when things happen under the Gold Dome to make sure that Middle Georgia values and what we need is being heard.
And Patti Marie, talk about your role in the House.
Well, yes, thank you again, Raymond, for having both of us here. I've been serving in the Georgia House of Representatives for 12 years, just got reelected in November for another term. Serving on various committees, currently serving as Vice Chair of the State Planning Committee, as well as Vice Chair for the Subcommittee on Sales Tax for Ways and Means.
And so with the session coming up, I know a lot of things are planned for the whole body, and we're going to get into that very heavily throughout the show. But we wanted to start off by talking about what's important to you all and some legislation that you may be looking to sponsor.
Oh, there's so many topics that are important to us, and I really like it when we can work together across the aisles to get things done for all of Georgia. But for me in particular, right now, as I stated, there's a lot of things that I'm really concerned about. But right now, I'm really concerned and want to work on how to better improve the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, better known as LIHEAP. We are in the winter months right now, and that program is designed to help families across the state with their energy assistance bills. And it's always a problem getting the program off the ground. The funds come from the federal government down to the Georgia Department of Human Services, down to the community action agencies across the state. And when I was campaigning this year, I heard from vendors that were sharing with me how it is getting to be a major problem for them getting their money to be able to provide the assistance to these families. And so that's what's really important to me right now, how we can better streamline that program and make it easier for the vendors to get the funding that they need, and as well as to help the families with the services that they so desperately need.
And that because we're seeing increase in energy costs
Yes.
for families, and
Yes.
so probably more need than ever before with that
Absolutely,
program.
absolutely.
And Senator Kennedy?
Sure. So I think we'll have a lot of issues, of course, that will come up. There'll be a lot of ideas and things and bills that will be filed. A couple of things I do want to speak to, Raymond, and thanks for giving us a chance. One is the issue of tort reform or tort relief, or some call it lawsuit abuse. And we hear constantly from folks of the problems they're having with continued increases in insurance premiums, whether it's your auto, your home, or your business policies, and are hearing a lot from businesses of all size across the state of the difficulty that they're having and the fear of the loss of their business simply because of lawsuit abuse. Please understand, as we say, that in the civil justice system, when folks are harmed or injured, they need to be compensated fairly and fully. But unfortunately, our system has gotten to the point that it needs to be rebalanced a little bit. And so we've had several efforts for the last few years at tort reform, and those have not been able to pass from the legislature, but the governor has been speaking significantly for the last 2 years, and even more so in this past year and as recently as yesterday, about the need that we really have to do something and address this issue of lawsuit abuse. It touches everybody, not just the businesses that may be a defendant in a lawsuit, but it touches everybody with insurance premiums, because we're all paying for these big verdicts, if you will. The other thing I'd like to mention is something that's really gotten on my radar screen, and that is the issue with chronic absenteeism. that we've got. It's a real problem here in Georgia, and it's not unique to Georgia. Most states are dealing with it. We had some high numbers of absenteeism pre-COVID, but those numbers have not come down after COVID. I'll give you two numbers. One is 21.7% of the school children last year were deemed chronically absent, meaning they've missed 10% or more of their school. That means 360,000 children in the state of Georgia are chronically absent. If they're not in the seats, they can't learn to read. If they can't learn to read, they can't graduate. If they don't graduate, they don't have a chance for the American dream that we all want for our children here.
And Senator Kennedy had talked some about some ideas for tort reform. You've got some ideas with judicial reform on kind of the other side of the courtroom. You're looking at some grand jury reform.
Absolutely, yes. I introduced a bill last session relating to the grand juries, and I plan to reintroduce that bill. And basically what the bill states is before the grand jury can move a case along, that they must hear from not only just the prosecution, but they must hear from the defense. And I know prosecutions across the state don't support my legislation because they speak about it's too time consuming, but my bill is all about fairness. I believe that it's fair for the grand jury to hear from both sides before they make a decision, so they have all the information in front of them so they can make a clear decision on whether or not this case needs to move forward or it needs to stop at this point. And I just truly believe my legislation will help with the crisis that we're facing right now in this state with the Georgia Department of Corrections. We are we're in a real crisis right now with the department, and a lot of the inmates that are there the issues could have been resolved before going to prison with the grand jury. So yes, I plan to reintroduce my bill, and I hope that I can get more than just a hearing this time, that the bill will actually move over to the Rules Committee and over to the House and over to the Senate for a vote.
Well, something we're hearing a lot about right now is House Bill 581. The voters ended up approving it. It's a measure that would allow, it was sold as an idea to cap property tax exposure and not have homeowners harmed by their home if it quickly appreciated in value. But one of the provisions of the bill is it allows local governments to opt out, and a lot of our school systems are getting ready or in the process of holding hearings right now to opt out because they believe it could actually hurt their ability to be fiscally responsible in how they run their offices. I know the Association of County Commissions has had some talks about maybe trying to repair that bill. Is that something that's on your radar in the Senate?
Raymond, it is, and you're right, and you stated very well what the bill does, and to reemphasize the purpose of that legislation was to give property tax relief to homeowners who are suffering under an appreciation in the value of their home, which is increasing their tax rates at a way that we've seen in the last 4 to 5 years, some of which have been 50, 60, 70, 80%. And so that was the purpose of the bill. I think what we're learning is that the bill needs to be re-examined, and you're right, from the county commissions, cities, and also the boards, local boards of education are looking at what does that mean longer term, and I think that's going to it's already engendered discussions in Atlanta about what tweaks or changes might need to be made to that. And so we'll be looking at that as we come forward. But we are committed to giving property tax relief to taxpayers. And that's the purpose of the bill. We don't want to stray from that, but we do need to get it right, make sure that the model works for the local governments as they have to implement it.
We're due a break, but I wanted to give you a chance to give your view on it.
Just to add to that, is the local governments will have the option to opt in or to opt out.
Right.
And if any viewers that are watching have any concerns, they need to really express those concerns to their local government officials, city, county, and school board members.
And there are going to be hearings taking place at various schools and offices that we're telling you about a lot of those, so you'll have a chance to comment then. Well, stay with us. We've got much more to come, looking ahead at the legislative session, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. We are continuing our preview of the upcoming legislative session. And we've got our guest today, Senator John F. Kennedy of District 81, represents Macon and some of the surrounding counties, and Patti Marie Stinson of the House of Representatives, who covers District 150. And it's a lot of our, I'm sorry, I gave the wrong district for you. Your district 18 and
yes.
your District 150.
50, right.
And your district covers a lot of our rural counties
Yes.
to the west. And
Yes.
so you each give us a unique insight into both different houses. You're each with different parties, and yet you get along, which is probably something we should talk about too.
Yes.
And also sort of a more rural area and a more urban area. So a lot of different ideas and needs represented, which is, I guess, a good microcosm of the Georgia legislature, which has a lot of people from all over the state with different views. But at the end of the day, y'all got to sit down and come together for 40 days and 40 nights up there in Atlanta. We'll talk about your working relationship between the two of you. We'll start with you, Representative Stinson.
Well, as I mentioned, Senator Kennedy and I represent Peach County. I have Fort Valley, and he has the entire county. I've been in the House for 12, and he's been in the Senate for 10, and we've worked really well together addressing the issues and concerns of Peach County. And I look forward to another term of working with my senator friend here. Yes.
How is it for you?
It's wonderful, quite frankly. Representative Stinson she's the example of how you wish everybody else behaved when it came to working on things together at the Capitol. She's just a joy to work with. Her heart's in the right place. And we are both lucky in that we represent a swath of Georgia that is just fantastic. It's a great area to get to represent. As you mentioned, I have the privilege of representing some metro areas, here with Macon and some cities, but also have some rural areas as well. And I think from my background of having grown up in rural Georgia, southeast Georgia, and it's one of the reasons that Patti and I get to work so well together is our experience of the folks that we are having the privilege of representing have a lot of values and a lot of common interests, and it's good to get to do that. It's how it ought to happen.
And very proud to represent Fort Valley State University. It's one of the 2 land grant institutions in the state of Georgia, and it's housed right here in our district. So we're very proud to represent that university. Yeah.
There are so many education issues, and it's always a top issue. You already talked about trying to address the absenteeism in the schools, but another issue and something schools are dealing with is the new school voucher program. How is that working so far? I guess it probably affects Senator Kennedy's district a little bit more because you have so many private schools and more private schools in here than you would have in your region. But are you getting any feedback on that? Are there any plans to take a second look at that plan or just move forward with it?
Well, there's not much feedback yet, except I will tell you there's been a lot of excitement and a lot of appreciation, quite frankly, from folks around the district and around the state of families and parents that want to have an option to send their children, if they're locked into a chronically failing school, to get their child out of that environment and go on to a better school and a school that gives options and gives them hope for success. So a lot of excitement. It's just now sort of going live, if you will, so we don't have a lot of feedback on how it's working. But I think, with the good ideas that were baked into the bill, which made sure that for at least the first year that there won't be any drop off in the dollars committed to the public schools, so no concern there of how many children that avail themselves or families avail themselves of the program. The public school system, that funding is still going to be there. So I think really, Raymond, it's a lot of excitement, and we get calls and appreciation from families saying we're grateful to have the chance to put our child where we think they need to be to get them the best education. So a lot of excitement, and maybe next year in this conversation we'll have more feedback and details of how folks think it's actually working for them.
Of course, something that the school's only as good as its teachers,
Right.
and teacher retention, attracting good teachers. It's probably always a challenge in rural areas, especially areas with lower tax bases. But do you have any ideas in dealing with that and making sure that teacher pay keeps up? I know that's been a big push for the governor the last few sessions as well.
Yes, just keep voting in support of the budget that includes funding for teacher retention and to be able to increase the salary for teachers. But I just want to say, if I may, relating to the school voucher, I was the only Democrat in the House to vote in support of the voucher bill. And I did that because I decided to put politics to the side and cast my vote for the children of this state. for years I had been voted in opposition of that legislation. But this year 2024, I decided to cast my vote for the children. I want to see the children of this state have a better future. We continue to talk about what's not happening, but we're not putting any measures in place to change those scenarios. And so that's why I decided to vote the way I did last year. And so I just want to see things go well for all of Georgia. Schools, this is not to hurt any schools. This is only to make the future of our children better. And that's the reason I voted the way I did last year.
How about with childcare before they even get into school? That's another area where the costs are going up. It's a big burden on parents. Is either the House or Senate looking at any legislation to deal with that issue?
Well, I'm sure there will be some. That is, especially, I've had some conversations with the Commissioner for Department of Early Care, DECAL, Amy Jacobs, and there were some changes made last year. And so, yeah, child care is a really major issue down in my area of the state. So I'm not aware of any particular legislation at this very moment, but I do look forward to reading about some and supporting anything that's going to really help the rural part of the state with child care, mainly across the state, but I really see it big in my area of the state.
Patty's right. This is important, and it's become just the way our working society has developed. It's becoming more and more important. And we've actually led, I think, on the Senate side. We had a Senate study committee chaired by Senator Strickland over the summer to investigate and learn more about and think about how can we provide affordable child care. And so I don't think there's any proposed legislation yet, but I know that committee did some good work in learning what is the landscape and where are the areas that we need to provide help where we can. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we see some legislation along those lines come forward this year.
And are there any other areas, education related, that you think may be hot this coming session? We've got about a minute before break, so I can give you a minute to touch on that.
I am just not, other than higher education, just doing what we can to really support education, on higher educational level.
Well, you had the lawsuit about the HBCUs that have been shorted for many billions of dollars for many years.
Yes.
So it's
doing what we can to make sure that these universities receive the money that they deserve. So yes, that's what I'm in support of. Yeah.
Sure. One of the things we're going to continue to look at and work on is school safety. With the tragedy that we had in Georgia a few months ago, that has been visited on us. We have been committing dollars in the last two budgets, even before, but significant dollars in the last budget cycle towards school safety. But what's happened there has made us realize we're going to have to do everything we can and give all the tools and resources to the school systems and the local districts to make sure that school systems are safe. When parents drop their children off, they know they're going into a safe environment, and the child knows that they're in a safe environment so that they can then focus and with the peace of mind that they're in a protected environment, learn what they need to learn and be a great student.
Right.
Well, we're looking ahead at the 2025 Georgia legislative session. We've got much more when we return. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. We have Representative Patti Marie Stinson and Senator John F. Kennedy as we're looking ahead at the 2025 legislative session, and want to hit as many topics as we can. So I don't normally do rapid fire type things, but we'll try to go sort of fast because we got a lot to talk about. One thing that comes up a lot when I talk to our local sheriffs is pay for deputies and staff, and just being competitive, because like the GSP and the GBI are offering better pay. They pull in the good deputies, and then that leaves a hole, and so they go to smaller and smaller and smaller departments, and then down the line, people that can't afford to pay or retain their people are getting really big turnover right now. And are there any plans in the legislature to try to deal with that? I'll begin with you.
Well, I am a big supporter of law enforcement. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. And it's public safety is what it's all about. And I'm in favor of doing what we can to help our local governments have funding to be able to retain deputies and employees with their departments. But for as the state, we're doing all that we can to retain our law enforcement officers on GBI and Georgia State Patrol. But so I'm open to any discussions to help our local governments get to a better level of being able to provide that public safety.
Raymond, you're right, it is an issue, and when we try to help certain levels of state government for law enforcement with where the salaries have not been where they need to be, it is a ripple effect. But I would also say that I think under Governor Kemp's leadership and a lot of people in the Gold Dome, with Republicans on the Senate side taking the lead in making sure that we get those salaries up where they need to be. None of them are overpaid, and we need to remember that, and we need to be more thankful and thoughtful about how we treat our law enforcement. We've gone through some difficult times in this country, but I think the pendulum is swinging back, and folks are coming back to more reason and realizing we have to support the people in every way we can that are there when we're in need. They're the phone call we make to, and so we've got to make sure they're taken care of, number one. But I do think that perhaps something to your question, I'm not aware of any legislation being offered right now, but there are discussions about what is it a pay scale or is it some other mechanism to address the issue of making sure that from the top to all the way at the local level, that we make sure that law enforcement are fairly treated and fairly compensated and paid.
Of course, another big item on the governor's agenda, which I imagine is the Senator Pro Tem, it's going to be a big item on your agenda, is disaster relief with Helene devastated, mostly the eastern half of the state, but still has an impact statewide and with utilities, everything else. So talk about some of the plans to help folks out through that.
Sure, and it's been devastating of what's happened, and I think the realization, if you've been there or if you know of anyone there, you realize that there are going to be communities that if they don't get some significant state help, there are going to be communities that simply don't survive what has happened. So we're looking at every way we can to bring help to those communities. I'm thankful to the governor's earlier comments and actions about a $100 million appropriation to try to get funds there. Those discussions are, as you predicted, are going on in earnest right now as we speak, and also trying to think thoughtfully and broadly of how are the different ways we can bring help to those rural communities, wherever the devastation was, the ag communities and the forestry industries that have been so devastated.
Yes, I agree, because the majority of my district is agriculture. Although it wasn't significantly impacted from the storm, but the mere fact that we had other areas across the state that were significantly impacted. I am in support of doing all that we can and supporting the endeavors of the governor to ensure that relief is provided across the state. Yes.
With one of the big things that the legislature does too is it's local legislation, which normally the local delegation works on it, and then it goes to the full legislature. Normally, if the local legislative delegation's for it, it goes on a lot of that's like charters and stuff. Something that just came up, adding a third term for Macon's mayor. Has there been any discussion with the local delegation about that, or how they may deal with that in Macon?
Not collectively, but as we all, on Monday when we gavel in and we're all back at the Capitol, we will have some local delegation meetings, and I suspect those topics as well as others that are of interest to the legislators, as well as folks that want to come and bring, whether it's the local school system or the courthouse issues or whatever it may be, bring those issues to us of what the needs are for local legislation. We're always receptive and want to hear from our locally elected people.
Okay. Well, Representative Stinson, Senator Kennedy, thank you all for joining us. The time goes by so fast. I still have so many things I wanted to talk about, but we appreciate your time, and I know we'll be checking in throughout the legislature and about the items that are going on in Central Georgia and are important to our viewers as well. And thank you for watching us as well. We'll see you next time here on Central Georgia Focus.